Tasting life in National League One, unbeaten in the Northern Rail Cup, and beating Doncaster on Easter Monday 29 points to 10, and racking up some big scores in the process. They hit 50 points on no less than 4 occasions. Although this a difference today, the Challenge Cup is all on 80 minutes. And what happens at the Shea between now and around about 4:30? Castleford huddled in the middle of the field. Michael Platt is for the fullback, Wayne Price, Damien Reid, John Epworth and Michael Shenton, the three quarters. Brad Davis joining Mickey Iron as the second player to sign for Halifax and never actually play for them before moving on to another club.
Over the course of this weekend, Trevor joined Bradford from Newport in 1938 and won every honour in the game until 1955. He played for Bradford 432 times, scored a total of 130 tries, and was a member of the Great Britain touring team to Australia. It's very rare to say that one person is respected by everybody in rugby league, but Trevor Foster was one such person. In addition as well, also last night, sadly, Pope John Paul II also passed away at the age of 84. In addition as the leader of the Catholic faith, he was an inspirational world leader and an inspiration to every single person on this planet. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and pay 1 minute's silence to Trevor Foster and Pope John Paul II. Thank you.
So respects paid there to Trevor Foster, the name synonymous with rugby league, and also Pope John Paul II. And continuing the teams, Brad Davis, partnered at half-back by Paul Hanforth, Adam Watini, Andy Henderson, Byron Smith, Tommy Hockey, Stephen Crouch and Aaron Smith are the Tigers forwards, with Dominic Brambani, Jordan James, Lance Hamilton, Alex Rowe on the bench. Halifax with injury problems. Dean Lawford, Andy Spink and Ricky Sharif, Halifax's try scorer, sitting out this one. Damien Gibson passed a late fitness test only just before the team sheets were printed. James Haley, James Bunyan returning to partner Anthony Blackwood, also returning in the centres. Alan Adcroft, another player returning for Halifax on the wing, where he spent a lot of his time at Lee before he moved to the Shea. Wayne Corcoran moves in to replace Dean Lawford. It's Ben Black at scrum half, also under the watchful eye of the physio before this game. Chris Morley returns after 6 weeks out in the front row, with Ben Fisher and Chris Birchall, David Larder, Jamie Bloom, Pat Wise in the back three. Brad Atwood, Jody Sharif and Ryan McDonnell and Jason Bolt are on the bench for Halifax. Brad Atwood, whose broken leg cost him most of last season out of the game, makes a return on the bench after impressing in the under-21s, but it'll Castleford that'll bring it forward on the first 6. And Byron Smith, former Halifax Academy under-21 player who did get into the first team briefly, kick there, forcing Gibson across, former Castleford player of course, and Gibson takes the ball under pressure, seemed a bit late to it, but Adcroft will come up, and Tigers immediately putting the pressure on Halifax, with Haley, who's racked up the tries himself this season, moved on to 10 last week. Morley's first touch takes him up to the 20. Referee this afternoon, Jamie Lee from Dewsbury. Morley wanted to get up and play it quickly. Fisher gives hospital pass there to Larder. Fisher again from acting half. Hoofs the ball downfield into the 20 to Wayne Price. It bounces up for him, and there's a air of expectation as Price sets off, but the chase is a good one from Bloom and Fisher. Michael Platt up into the line. Well, it's rough and tough already, and we're only on to the third set of 6 as Castleford try and bring it forward with Tommy Hockey, former London and Wakefield player. Smith shows the ball again. Halifax are pinned for the offside, and Halifax will put themselves under pressure. Adam Watini drives the ball up to the 10-metre line. Halifax on the rack. Henderson from acting half, former teammates in Australia with Ben Fisher. His brother playing at Lee. Long ball out wide. Platt the fullback linking into the line. Tigers, of course, showing a bit of an edge there with the superior fitness from having a full-time squad as Price goes from acting half. And Halifax alert to it. They've been caught once or twice with that play from acting half. Slow play. Davis chips over the top. There could be pressure on here. Blackwood rises above the approaching defenders to take the ball. And this time it's Castleford that are adjudged to have been offside. Under the Halifax post. Ben Black will take the touch kick into duties. Well, he won't find touch with that one. And is that a sign that Ben Black is still struggling with the hamstrings that have been problem for the last few weeks for the scrum half? As Hockey brings it back, Castleford go to the right hand side with Stephen Crouch, one of the overseas quarter in this Castleford side. And Tigers pushing again towards the massive support they've brought with them to that right hand side. Aaron Smith. Lots of players in this side with Super League experience, Aaron Smith being one of them, formerly with the Bradford Bulls. Davis with Wakefield and Castleford. Fires the ball out. Tigers fans calling for the penalty. Davis orchestrating again. Gives it to Byron Smith, and Smith put down 5 metres away. Halifax still under pressure, last tackle. Davis with a kick, which is a bit far away from the line. It'll be Halifax winning the jump to it. Alan Adcroft palms it down. And Wisner comes up with it. Blackwood into 3, 10 metres away from the Halifax line. Larder. And gang tackling again by the Tigers defence. 18 metres out. Corcoran gives it inside to Morley. Morley takes the ball over the 20-metre line, but the progression is slow for Halifax. Fisher from acting half brings Birchall back on the inside ball. And Birchall's put down on the 30. Now it's back to Ben Black. Hoof the ball down between fullback and winger, but it'll bounce up into the arms of Wayne Price. The chasers are there for Halifax. And Price brought down just over the 20. Tries to get to his feet. Corcoran and Bloom putting him down. Watini. Fisher going around the legs of the big prop. Now it's Smith. And Smith almost spinning away from Wisner's tackle. And Castleford have used only 2 tackles. And they're back to halfway already. And here comes Watini again. Well caught by Bloom. But still made 10 metres. Tigers over the advantage line again. Paul Anforth. Anforth showing the ball. He's a key man for the Tigers. Last tackle. Back to Henderson. Fires it out wide. Tester. Haley coming in for it. And Haley loses it. Castleford will get 6 more. But then the scrum will form for the first knock on because Haley was the quickest to get to the ball and tried to get up and palm it back before Henderson got hold of it. And so Halifax will be under pressure again.
Make himself known to his steward. His nephew wishes to meet him. That's Darren Hunt. If please make yourself known to his steward. Thank you.
So Halifax will once again be under severe pressure from the Castleford Tigers, mounting another attack 10 metres out from the Halifax line. As Anford's dropped out to stand off, and there's a mix-up. The ball goes to ground. The referee is going to watch Anford score because there was no decision from the referee. It came from the touch late on. Tigers mascot already cheering behind the line, so were the supporters, and the referee just lost it a little bit there. Saw the play, ball went to ground. The touch stood his ground as Anford went through and thought it was posting the first 4 points for the Tigers, but ominous signs for Halifax if they remain in their own quarter of the field. Although I think the Halifax defence may have stopped and waited for the referee's whistle, something you can't afford to do. Anford didn't, and was close to posting the first 4. And Halifax up against this Castleford defence again as they try to bring the ball out of the 20. And that's another mistake. Ball goes to ground, so Halifax will be put under pressure again. The mistake by Jamie Bloom. So Castleford come again with Damien Reid into the line. From a Leeds, Gateshead and Barrow player. Stephen Crouch fires the ball out. It comes loose and goes to the ground. Will the referee play on? He will this time. Davis fires it out wide to Tommy Hockey. Hockey turns round, gives it to Reid. Castleford keep it moving with Davis to Henderson. And Henderson, a judge to have had his, well, that must be why he's wearing the headgear. Somebody had a shot there, sliding the arm up. And after all that pressure, Castleford have decided to use the golden rule and get near the posts, and if the points are there for the asking, then you should take everyone that's available. But did Halifax give 2 away? Instead of risking, giving 4. So Brad Davis to put first points on the board for Castleford, which he does from in front of the post with about 10 minutes gone. Well, 2 points to show for 10 minutes of pressure. Castleford feel maybe they should have had more, but they're happy to take the 2 on offer. Now Halifax, for the first time in since the kick-off, will try and pin Castleford in their own quarter. And that's good gang tackling 10 metres away from the Tigers line. Watine will not get into his stride there as Halifax pour forward out of the blocks. Referee going back the full 10 and making sure the defence goes with him, allowing Castleford to move forward a little bit further that time. And I think Davis not happy with the shot from Wisner. Got up and had a little look at him. Anford driving the ball up, better defence this time from Halifax. Castleford up to the almost to the halfway as the referee signals the last tackle. Davis chips over the top. Gibson booed by the Castleford supporters. Once the Castleford player, of course, before his return from Halifax. Haley couldn't escape the clutches of Johnny Epworth as Hadcroft goes from acting half and takes it over the halfway line for Halifax. More encouraging sign this for Halifax as Michael Shenton opts to give away the penalty, and the Tigers have a man down who's shaking his head. And I'm not sure that'll be a man that can carry on. It looks like Paul Anforth, who's struggling as Halifax get on with it and look for the first points from the first attack towards that line. Black off to Birchill, and Birchill charges the ball up to the 10-metre line. Morley charges into the Castleford defence, takes Halifax to within 3 metres or so. Fisher from acting half. Well, Black went as a dummy runner. Fisher almost to the line, is he? Well, he's not got it down, he was close. Chances here, Halifax going to the line, but Castleford have got the penalty. Well, the referee has indicated there that Halifax are being penalised for not standing square, but how can you be penalised for not standing square when you've actually got the ball and on the attack? So a strange decision from the referee, lets Castleford off the hook. Halifax were trying to plunder a try near the post. Watini this time allowed to get into his stride and almost causing the damage as he bounced off Morley into the arms of Birchill and Fisher. Cass running the ball out wide, ball goes to ground and he's given a knock on this time. That's a tremendous tackle. Awesome tackle. It's left a Tigers man prostrate on the floor, and that really was a thunderous tackle. It looked close to the mark from up here. Well, that's what Halifax need, steel in defence. Paul Anforth suffered last time, it seems to have recovered. Although he's taken up a wider position, perhaps while he tries to get over the impact of that. I'm not sure who it is down, it looks like Henderson, though. No, Henderson's there. I'm not sure who it is. It's on the floor. Tommy Hockey maybe. Can't see the numbers on all the Castleford shirts. Well, whoever it is, looks as though they may be leaving the field with the aid of a stretcher. Or are they? It's and it is Tommy Hockey who took that huge tackle. Thunderous tackle. So Halifax will begin their attack once again with Wisner out to Blackwood. And Blackwood trying to make the best of it despite taking having a slow down and jump into the air to take the ball. Wisner moves into acting half, gives it to Fisher. Fisher puts it up for Larder without looking. It's not the best option, but Larder managed to pull the ball in. And Larder and Watini having words as Birchill drives forward. Halifax almost up to that Tigers 20-metre line with Morley driving the ball forward for Halifax up to the 10. Black fires it out to Wisner. Wisner, long ball out wide. Blackwood. Well, I thought Blackwood was the dummy runner, but he took it. Last tackle. Wisner will kick towards the post. Is the pressure on here? There's a chase behind the line, and I'm sure it went over from a Castleford hand, did it? No. Says the referee, it came off a Halifax hand. Well, there was all sorts of panic to get it dead there from Castleford, but the referee was on the spot, and the in-goal touch judge too. So Halifax looking the part when they get near the Castleford line. And do with a few more visits there, but now they must try and restrict Castleford, who are already up to the 40. It's Byron Smith running the ball forward, making 8 or 9 metres. Watini comes as the runner, but It's down to Hanforth down the short side, and he will put the ball into touch. 12 metres out from the Halifax line, trying to push Halifax back into their own half. Castleford perhaps needing a bit of a respite after that few minutes of pressure on their own line from Halifax. Oh, Halifax responding well after the Tigers had put all that pressure in the first 10 minutes. As Black feeds Wisner. Wisner out to Blackwood. Halifax tries to use the short side, and it takes him up to the 20-metre line. Hadcroft will go from acting half. Referee was watching the whole Castleford line encroach the 10 then, and quick to blow the whistle, and Wisner quick to dispatch the ball into touch just over the halfway line. Fisher to Wisner to Jason Bolts, who's on for Halifax, replacing Chris Morley. Corcoran turns it back to Gibson, and Gibson looks for the gap. None there though. Henderson making the tackle. Black fires it out wide to Bunyan. Bunyan gets it away to Haley. Haley does the sensible thing, coming back inside into the arms of Wayne Price. Bloom unable to escape the clutches of the Tigers' defence. Fisher fires it back to Ben Black. Ben Black puts the high ball up. It's in the pocket at the front of the post. Michael Platt will take the ball, but will have been adjudged to have been caught in the air. So the Tigers will get an easy penalty from under their own post. Midway through the first half. Halifax 0, Castleford Tigers 2 in this Power Gen 4th round Challenge Cup tie. And Davis making 15 metres with a boot. And Castleford have made a change. Paul Hanforth has gone off, whether it's due to that injury, I think it may be. He's limping along the touchline to be replaced by Dominic Brambarnett, another man with Super League experience in this Castleford side. Had a pretty tough season last season, did the Tigers. So far it's all going to plan for David Woods as far as the Tigers are concerned this season, as Black steps one. But the umbrella defence from Castleford is a bit too overzealous there, as Ben Black is turned upside down in a spear tackle. Well, I'm not sure the first defender in was aware of it, but Michael Platt certainly uplifted the scrum half, and what resulted was a spear tackle. And he's going to speak to Henderson. Well, he's warning him about the tackle, but it's normally the captain they speak to. In this case, Andy Henderson, after things are getting a bit out of hand, but it's been a rough and tough game so far. Birchill to Black. Halifax have men over on this far side if they get the ball out. Larder opts for the run, and Halifax had a 3-2 on this side. Ball played quickly, they'll now have to go back inside, and Jason Bolts takes it off Ben Black, and Jason Bolts powers towards that line but just can't make it through the defence. Can't get up to play the ball either quickly, as Corcoran stands and takes the tackle under the post. Castleford slowing down the play, the ball deliberately under the post, and I think that's that also may be a case of let's give the two away. Big prop forward giving away the penalty, and I think Andy Henderson will think himself lucky he didn't in the previous tackles. He was slow to get off as Halifax piled on the pressure. Well, 8 penalties so far, 5 of them in Halifax's favour. Almost 25 minutes gone, and a chance for Bloom to level the scores. Kicked his 200th goal for Halifax last week against Hull Kingston Rovers in that 1-point defeat, and that's his 201st to bring the scores level again. Well, Halifax have certainly shown inventiveness near the Castleford line, and a defensive quality near their own line in the opening 10 minutes. And a long deep kick inside from Wisner to Jason Bolts. Chasers are there, and Bolts gets it back 15 metres away from the Halifax line. Hadcroft moves into acting half, he'll probably go on his own, and he doesn't, takes it over the 20. Fisher to Birchall, named as one of two of the Halifax players in the National League One Dream Team for this month, along with Ricky Sharif, who sits this one out with ankle ligament damage. Larder looking at the referee as Black tries to get it back behind the winger, but he drifts back, does Michael Shenton, picks it out of the air, and the chase is there from Bolts and Wisner, and Shenton plays it quickly. Halifax defenders up very quickly as Michael Platt almost avoids a tackle there as he makes it up to the 20, the Tigers fullback. Formerly with Salford, started his rugby life at Sedgley Park as a rugby union player. In the Tigers fullback, Wayne Price, who's quite possibly the longest serving player out there this afternoon with the Castleford Tigers, with the exception of Brad Davis, who kicks the ball forward. But Davis, of course, in his second spell at Castleford. Gibson turned upside down, good tackling from Tommy Hockett as James Haley comes in to help out the forwards, makes good yards up to the 40. Gibbo fancies another chance, and Henderson clinging on to the ankles. Larder, well, for a man that's only just passed the fitness test before this game, Damien Gibson showing no ill effects of any injury so far. Fisher gives it to Hadcroft, who forced Blackwood out onto the wing there. Wisner, well, that could go anywhere, it's not going to hold up. It did on the last bounce, but was already over the dead ball line, so Halifax will reform the defensive line as Tommy Hockett brings the ball away. Wayne Price gives it outside, and Damien Reid's going to have to go on his own because there's no winger outside him and nobody following him in support. Watine drives the ball up. No Andy Kane for Castleford this afternoon, nor the very, very experienced Frank Watine, who was injured in the match at Doncaster on Monday. Adam Watine cleared by the disciplinary this week, and that one was about a yard forward, so much so that there wasn't a Castleford player within a yard of the ball as it sailed over the touchline. Well, evenly matched game so far. Almost half an hour gone. Wisner feeds the scrum and gives it to Blackwood. And Blackwood unable to make any progress. Bloom takes it from Fisher. Bloom will drive the ball forward to the Castleford line. Halifax just back inside the Tigers half with Jason Bolts. And Bolts is stopped 28 metres out. Halifax still pushing forward. Byron Smith not in a rush to get up as Birchall charges onto the ball. Gets to the 20 where he's met by 3. Castleford still a bit slow to get up at the play of the ball. Corcoran looking for runners. Larder comes back on the inside on the late pass and had freed the arms but just couldn't get the pass away. Last tackle. Black kicks it towards the post. Gibson in pursuit, but the bounce of the ball beats him carries the ball over the dead ball line. And Castleford will bring it back again with Platt, who takes a sideways run and only makes a metre despite running 10. Watini onto the ball. Birchall missed as he charged in. Bunyan didn't. Castleford making another change with Alex Rowe going on to replace Byron Smith, and Castleford forced into another error. Well, nothing to choose between these teams so far in the first half hour, despite Castleford starting like a house on fire in the first 10 minutes. Blackett is this time that feeds the scrum, which is not formed properly, says the referee. Wisner out to Gibson. Gibson steps inside, and Platt tackles Gibson, and Adcroft goes inside, looks for the pass. Birchall comes off to be replaced by MacDonald as Larder charges in with the shoulder. Couldn't escape the clutches. MacDonald limped off last week against Hull Kingston Rovers. There's Corcoran. Tries to break down that far side. Bloom shows the ball. Well, where's it gone? It's gone to Jason Bolts. There's a dummy runner in there. Last tackle again. Halifax might be in range of the 1 point, but decide on the power plays. Black gets it back inside to MacDonald. MacDonald to Wisner. Wisner over the line. Well, MacDonald certainly has impact of one sort or another on a game, and he has on this one, because when the defenders got to him, MacDonald turned round, and Wisner in the perfect position. And Halifax have been building and building of late with the pressure towards that line. This time it pays off. The last tackle, Castleford perhaps in two minds, and Ben Black had the ball and waiting for the kick. MacDonald charging onto the inside pass and turning round and standing on his feet and unloading to Wisner. First 4 point of the afternoon goes in Halifax's favour. Pat Wisner's 6th try of the season, and it gives Halifax the lead. It's Halifax 6, Castleford Tigers 2. And Jamie Bloom has a good view of the post, pretty wide angle, 10 metres to the left hand side. And taking as long as he needs. It's quite a wind swirling round this afternoon, but Bloom has no problem as he fires that one inside the left hand post. Second conversion of the afternoon for Jamie Bloom. This one after Wisner's try. It's Halifax 8, Castleford Tigers 2. There's something for the Halifax fans to cheer about, and the Castleford fans have been silenced momentarily as Black gives the ball inside to Bloom. And there's a wrestle on there, and Bloom came out better because Jordan James, the latest Castleford replacement, went for the ball and not the man, and it allowed Bloom to spin out of the tackle and get himself over the 20. Jason Bolts continues the progress forward for Halifax. MacDonald falls to Jordan James' tackle. On to replace Stephen Crouch as Corcoran. Unfamiliar position for Wayne Corcoran. Fancies himself as a hooker at the start of the season, but has been drafted in as a standoff, late replacement for Dean Lawford. But such is the game now that Lawford, Wisner and Corcoran generally loose forward, and half-backs are pretty interchangeable. And there's another mistake, and Halifax quickest to react, Jason Bolts, quickest on the ball for Halifax. That saves the trouble of a scrum, but what can Halifax do with the ensuing 6 tackles? Larder drives it forward into the Tigers' defence. Wisner to MacDonald, pumping the legs, attracting 2, getting it away to Gibson. Gibson to Wisner. Wisner gets it away, and there's a chance here for Fisher. Fisher will score Halifax's second try. And Wisner's name is on the link again. Last time he scored the try. This time provided the ball, and Fisher, with lots of work to do, still had to get through the defence. And Ben Fisher romps over for Halifax's second try from about 8 metres out. Had a lot of work to do, managed it successfully. Halifax's second try, 5 minutes from half time. And there's shock for the Castleford Tigers, who were absolutely red-hot favourites to walk through this league with walk through the National League 1-0 to stop them. Halifax will be one of the teams that are opposing. And although the league's more important than the Challenge Cup at this moment, I suggest that Auntie Farrell might think the Challenge Cup is the most important thing, as Halifax are showing their mettle against the Castleford Tigers. Unbeaten so far this season, still a long way to go. Bloom will tag on another 2 points.
Sponsored by CPS Security Pass. Number 12, Jamie Bloom. Castleford substitution replacing number 8, Adam Martini. Number 16, Lance Hamilton.
Castleford making another change with Adam Watini off the field to be replaced by Lance Hamilton. High long kick, allowing the Tigers defence to get up and stop Bolts on the 10-metre line, but he is allowed to unload the ball to Wayne Corcoran, and Corcoran takes it back to 18 metres out from the Halifax line. Haley on the short side, steps inside, making yards, giving his forwards a breather. Black, now it'll go back to the forwards with MacDonald, and MacDonald almost striding through the tackle, trying to get up and play the ball quickly. Fisher to Bloom. Tigers defence sucked in again if Halifax can get the ball out wide. Bloom claiming for the penalty. Black, now they look for the wide ball. Wisner hitting Blackwood, but Halifax losing possession, trying to drag the man over the line, which they do. And the referee has looked at the touch, he's going to give the penalty, and the movement was never stopped. Well, Castleford being given a bit of a gift there, I think, by the referee, because it didn't look as though the movement had stopped. And Castleford will go back towards the Halifax line with Aaron Smith. Halifax being tested in defence for the first time for some minutes in this first half. MacDonald and Fisher moving out to make the tackle on the 20. Brambani gives it to Alex Rowe, and Rowe's pushed back over the 20-metre line. Halifax still have work to do though, as Brambani tries to get Epworth away on this side with a long pass. Epworth manages to get the ball away. Halifax may be light in defence here as Henderson gets around Bloom, gets the pass away. Looked like there may have been an obstruction there, and the referee has seen it. Accidental, I think. And unfortunate, but the referee quick with a whistle right on the mark. And that was luck for Halifax, really, as I don't think the Castleford man with the ball really had much idea of he had one of his teammates in front of him. But he did, and Halifax begin to attack 10 metres from halfway with MacDonald putting the shoulder down, but Henderson, that's the Castleford hooker, up against the big prop, equal to the task. Jason Bolts driving the ball forward. Halifax back in the Tigers half of the field, and they go to the right hand side. Ben Black bringing in dummy runners, gives it to Bloom. Bloom just gets over the 40. About 2 minutes left in the first half, and Bloom gives away the penalty. So Davies looking for metres. He's made about 20 and he's put the Tigers back on the attack on the 40. Tommy Ockey recovered from that high impact tackle earlier on. Alex Rowe into the Halifax defence. The Tigers making 22 metres in the first 2 tackles. Halifax wanting to hold out. Davies showing the ball. Well, I'm not sure there wasn't a shepherd there. That time looked more deliberate, but Castleford will continue 10 metres away from the Halifax line. Bram Barnett will turn it back inside where there's a link up. Castleford keep it moving. Kick down behind Adcoff could cause problems, and it has, as Michael Shenton gets in for the Castleford Tigers. Halifax had been sucked into the middle, and there's no real need for him to be. It was only the 3rd tackle, but Michael Shenton stuck out wide while Halifax were sucked in, and the kick from, I think it came from Bram Barnett, caught the whole Halifax defence napping. Nothing Hadcroft could do, and the Tigers hit back, and it's more or less on the stroke of half time. But it looked for all the world as though Davies had got away with using the shepherd more blatantly in the last than the previous one, which gave Halifax the penalty. But the attack from Castleford all came from the penalty given away by Jamie Bloom in the Castleford half of the field. All Halifax needed to do was play out the tackles and set up. Instead, after all their hard work, this kick from Davies, if it's successful, will put Tigers right back into this game. It's Halifax 14, Castleford Tigers 6, and it's Halifax Tigers 40, Halifax 14 now, Castleford Tigers 8. Great kick from Davies wide out, and Halifax were, or could have been, in the comfort zone at half time at 14-2, but the penalty and the attack from Castleford, Halifax left wanting on the outside. Shenton, the former amateur with Smawthorne Panthers and Upton. It's Halifax hard right before half time. Three minutes left of the first half. Well, there could still be a chance for the Tigers. Halifax looking to maintain the defence that's more or less kept him in this game, apart from that last set of 6, of course. Tigers back up to the 40 already. Alex Rowe to the halfway line. Castleford Tigers fans trying to sway the referee on a penalty. Henderson turns it back inside. Halifax need to be alert on the power play as Bram Barney gets the kick away that falls Gibson down towards his own line, and Gibson will fall to what looked like a suspiciously high tackle. Hadcroft will have to go from acted half to help his forwards out, who are still coming back into position. Blackwood over the 20-metre line. Haley's drifted right across from the other side of the field, and he's unable to break down this defence. Gibson goes from acting half and gets Halifax almost up to the halfway line, but it's the last tackle. Wisner will drift one between fullback and winger. Shenton was down by his own line, and the chasers are there, and David Larder makes the tackle 10 metres away from the Tigers line. Platt, the fullback, steps through Corcoran's tackle. Now Castleford have men on that far side, but Price went for the glory. Bunyan sticking with him. Castleford continue that way on that far side. Defenders move across, but nobody making the tackle. The Castleford player appealing there, I think, for a head-high tackle. Good strong running, and the Tigers are back up to halfway. Back to Brambani for the kick. Splits full-back and winger once again. But the ball will travel over the dead ball line. And I think this must be about the last set of 6. And Anthony Farrell might be a bit happy with his team's performance, but not too happy with the way in which Castleford went in for the try. Haley from acting half, trying to duck under the tackles, making it up to the 40. Well, Castleford still trying to slow it down. Larder up to halfway. Last play of the ball in this first half. Wisner to Bolts. Bolts brought down just inside the Castleford half. Well, an exciting first half. Castleford are red-hot favourites and came and opened the scoring with 2 points after 10 minutes of immense pressure on the Halifax line. Halifax clawed their way back into the game, and after a sustained period of pressure came up with tries from Wisner and Ben Fisher. Penalty from Bloom and 2 conversions made it 14 points to 2. But Halifax were caught in defence when Brambani kicked over the top. Shenton only had to catch the ball and put it down, which he did for Castleford first try. Davis with a kick from 10 metres in from the touchline. The half-time score after a really nail-biting first half. It's Halifax 14, Castleford Tigers 8.
That is published every Monday. 33p will buy your copy of the Evening Courier. Halifax, home insurance, don't give back, Halifax. LFC.
Further second half about to get underway. Brambani lines up the ball on halfway. Halifax 14, Castleford Tigers 8 at half time at the Shea. And Halifax probably deserving of that lead, considering holding out under the intense pressure that Castleford put on in the first 10 minutes, building on the pressure they'd had on 3 or 4 sets of 6 and coming up with the points. When it mattered, 2 quick tries stunned Castleford, but Shenton in turn stunned Halifax with a simple walking try out wide. And the question of the second half, I suppose, will be, can Halifax maintain their concentration and the effort for 40 minutes against a team that's full time? But Castleford give away another penalty for holding down.
Can the owner of a black Suzuki Zolosia, registration KC0300B.
And Wayne Corcoran thumps that ball into touch, 30 metres away from the Castleford line. Bloom takes the first drive in and takes Halifax up to the 20. Fisher falls there. There's a Castleford player in the way as they try to play the ball quickly. McDonald will come back down the middle. Pops the ball out the back for Fisher. Not something Anthony Farrell will want to see, I don't think. Risky pass on attack. Corcoran from acting half. Corcoran shows the ball and goes himself. And Halifax are within 3 metres in the first attack of the second half as Fisher drops it down. And Fisher had his shirt sleeve pulled back there as he tried to kick through. Bunyan went for it as well, but it has forced the drop out from under the Tigers' post. And I'm not sure if a closer inspection or replay of that would reveal whether Fisher may have actually got to that ball had he not been held back. It was only a tug of the sleeve. Brambani with the dropout to Wisner. Wisner invites Gibson to run it back at the Castleford defence. Gibson accepts and takes it back to the 30-metre line. Fisher turns the ball back to Bloom. Willing runner, spins away from 2 and still looking to get the arm free to release the pass there, Jamie Bloom. Jason Bolts juggles with it and manages to get it away to Fisher. Fisher tries a duck underneath, had support, just couldn't get it away to the supporting Jamie Bloom. Wisner to Black. Black fires it out to Bunyan, and Bunyan will stroll over the line. Ben Black, I think, had something to say to Brad Davies, but what a pass, fired out. Castleford defence caught lead-footed, and Halifax hit Castleford straight away with a try from James Bunyan on his return after injury, his third of the season. Well, the try was relatively easy enough to score. I don't think Bunyan could believe how much room he had then, but it was the pass fired out from Ben Black that set up the chance. Castleford defence standing back, waiting for Black to see what was happening, and by the time they'd reacted, the 4 points were on the board, and Halifax were celebrating a third try of the afternoon. This from Bloom to restore the 12-point lead in front of certainly the biggest crowd at the Shea this season. Jamie Bloom to maintain his 100% record for this afternoon. Taking all the time, but pulling it to the left-hand side. So it's Halifax 18, Castleford Tigers 8. And Halifax hit Castleford right at the start. A try that may have gone to Ben Fisher moments earlier. But Halifax forced to drop out, slick passing. And Fisher puts over Bunyan. MacDonald waits underneath, catches the ball safely, and I'm not sure Damien Reid was a little bit too high there. He's trying to shrug him off, is MacDonald, so he can get up and play the ball. Bloom looking for the gap there, not finding it. Fisher to Jason Bolts, who'll drive the ball up. Big Adam Watini back on for Halifax. And Halifax are given another penalty. Well, Castleford becoming a little bit frustrated as Halifax are invited to make easy yards once again through Wayne Corcoran's boot into the Castleford 40. Wisner to Larder. Larder falls to the tackle of Henderson. Fisher to MacDonald. MacDonald gives a return back to Fisher. Fisher away to Gibson. Gibson eludes one tackler who's made a snap round the shoulder. Gibson playing for the penalty, not getting it, but gets up and plays it. Black turns it back inside to Bloom. Bloom gets away from two, and the third man goes round the legs. That was Lance Hamilton. Wisner, is it on for Halifax here from Ben Black? Size of an obstruction, but there was a knock on. Well, Castleford supporters don't agree, but there may have been a hint of an obstruction there from Black, using Wisner as the shepherd. Epworth went for the interception and just palmed it down. So Halifax with 6 more tackles, assuming they can keep hold of the ball to attack this line. Good ball. It was Bunyan that ran onto it. Fisher back to Larder. Larder gets it away to Bunyan. Bunyan looking for the second. He thought about the pass. Blackwood from short range. Blackwood, has he got it down? The Castleford defence have forced him back. Fisher. Fisher steps. Fisher looking for the second. Castleford scramble in defence under the post. Fisher plays for the quick one. Plays for the penalty as well. Black shows the ball. Here comes Wisner firing onto, gets it back to Ben Black. Ben Black steps out of tackles towards that Castleford line, still trying to force his way over, and he's brought down a metre away. Last tackle. Can't have Halifax anything, or will Halifax get anything from it? They managed to keep the ball alive. Crossfield kick from Gibson. There's pressure on Price here, and they'll have to be alert to Price because he's a speedman. It's Price when he gets going. Halifax try to take him back over the line, and Wayne Price gets up. Fancies chances with Wayne MacDonald? I don't think so. But Castleford have already been given the penalty, and I think they'll be glad of it because they've had 2 sets of 6 on their own line. Watine charges in. Bloom tries a Cumberland throw, and I think it's as well he didn't connect because that might have been a penalty. But Castleford driving forward with purpose over the advantage line. Brambini gets the ball away to James. James put down 5 metres from halfway, manages to play the ball. Henderson takes the ball on one knee. Halifax are light on this side as Davies throws out the long pass. Tommy Hockey gets it away to Price. Price throws the ball back inside in desperation, and Hockey gets the return, and he's put down on the 40. Well, if Cass start throwing the ball about, one wonders how much Halifax will have left in the tank on the last tackle, which looked suspiciously forward off that last pass. Davies puts it up in the air. It's drifting towards Haley and Gibson, but Gibson safe as houses underneath, and Gibson steps to and almost gets to the 20, and Castleford slow it down again. Adcroft will go from acting out across the defence and then drops the shoulder, tries to go underneath, plays for the penalty, and this time he gets it. Well, referee has got to speak to Andy Henderson this time, because that's 2 or 3 times that Cass have given away the penalties. Chris Morley back on for Ryan MacDonald. Jody Sharif and Brad Atwood get there eventually, and Chris Birchall all warming up on the touchline. The words of warning dispensed, and that means I think that next time it'll be a yellow card. But I think Halifax may have got that one, may have played for that one and played for it successfully. But the penalty's being given as Fisher puts it inside to Bloom, and Bloom takes the first tackle. 8 metres inside the Tigers' half. Morley shows the dummy, and he's almost away. That's great play from Morley, just back on the field. Gets up and plays it quickly. Fisher gives it to Gibson. Gibson looks for a gap, doesn't find one. 12 metres out from the Castleford line. Fisher to Wisner. Wisner turns it back inside to Bolts, who's brought down a metre away. Castleford on the back foot. Bolts playing for the penalty. Fisher fires the ball out. Knock on there, another one for the interception. Damien Reeve. Wisner goes round the Castleford defence, and it's a 0 tackle. Halifax have 6 in the bag, but can they make the pressure tell? Black to Morley. Morley runs into a 2-man tackle 5 metres out from the Tigers' line. Fisher, Black to Bloom, and Bloom, I think, tried to stretch the arm out there, thought it was a bit nearer than that. Fisher scoops it up off the floor. Ben Black shows a dummy. Black's over for the try. The pressure tells. Halifax posts into the 4-pointer, and it's Ben Black, the scrum half, who sent the Castleford defence out towards that far stand. They all followed the line of the ball, but Black stepped back inside, and Ben Black comes up with Halifax's 4th try of the afternoon, and still a long way to go, but Halifax have opened up in the second half as Castleford did in the first, the difference being that Halifax have made the pressure tell. And have turned a 6-point lead into a 14-point lead. And the first 15 minutes of this second half, it's been all Halifax, and they've pounded that Castleford line. Cass have come out of the line twice for the interceptor knocked on. So they have created the the pressure a little bit themselves by the way in which they've desperately tried to keep the line intact and also recover the ball. And Wayne Corcoran has taken over kicking duties. Jamie Bloom quick to relinquish that after missing one, and Corcoran can't convert from the other side. It's Halifax 22, Castleford Tigers 8. As Chris Birchall comes back on for Jason Bolts. Castleford go for a shallower kick this time, and Birchall is underneath it but not safely. Price will pick it up for Castleford, and they look to it back very quickly, and they may do as they try to keep the ball alive, but Jordan James finally going down with it, so it's pressure now from Castleford as Halifax tried to hold out. Brambani forced on a lone path on that far side. Stephen Crouch manages to get it away, then the ball comes loose. Castleford will get 6 more, will they? Has the referee seen it? Well, he hasn't waved back the 6 more, and there was definitely Halifax hand on that ball as Davies fires it out to Hockey. Hockey will give the return back to Davies. Watine to loose forward Aaron Smith. Chris Morley and Watine, I still think are at it from that little scuffle they had in the first half. Castleford badly done to, should have been back to 1. Hepworth round the back, fires the ball out the back. Chances on that far side. Shenton looking for his second. Halifax pinned right back on their own line. Brambani gives the ball to Platt, the fullback. Halifax light on this side, Platt forced to go backwards. Ben Black makes the tackle, but the ball still goes free to Davies, and Halifax will wrap Davies up before he can get the ball away. Last tackle, Davies plays for the penalty. Tommy Hockey puts one through on the floor. Fisher steps in and takes a tackle on the 10. Well, I think that Castleford should have had 6 more then. Fortunate in that Ben Black's injured. And that's not the best sight for Halifax. He has been struggling with hamstring, but it looks like a shin problem this time for the scrum half as Blackwood drives forward and Crouch as well to hold on. Gibson goes down the same channel and takes Halifax over halfway. Castleford pulled for the offside. 9-6 the penalty count in Halifax's favour. Halifax down to 12 as Ben Black receives treatment, and it looks as though Ben Black may be playing no further part in this game. Well, sad sight for Halifax as Bloom takes the ball up. Ben Black limps off once again. Fisher to Corcoran. Corcoran brings Birchall back on the inside, and Birchall's put down 18 metres away. The replacement for Ben Black is Jody Sharif as Wisner is only caught by the bootlaces. Birchall from short range. Forward passes the Tigers supporters, but the referee right on the spot. Birchall injured as well now for Halifax. Well, falling like 9 pins. And Anthony Farrell suffering a lot with injuries at the start of the season. Chris Birchall receives attention. The referee has not opted to play the ball elsewhere. Well, Gary Mercer's left one legacy, it seems, in his days as Castleford, when there's a lot of water carriers on for the Tigers. No fewer than 3 on that occasion. And Halifax have 2 on. Birchall gets to his feet. Now will be fit to play the ball, but fit for how long? We're not sure. Referee restarts the clock. Wisner, well, if anything, it's given Halifax a bit of a breather as Morley goes into Watine. Wisner chips through on the floor. There could be problems here. Wayne Price almost knocking on behind his own line there from Wisner's intelligent little kick through. But it means that the Tigers will be forced to drop out under the posts again. Midway through this second half, Halifax leading 22. So the Castleford Tigers 8 as Jody Sharif runs into Tommy Hockey, who suffered in the first half and suffered in the second there, as Morley runs down the short side and cops a collar from Watine. Referee says a knock on. Chris Morley can't quite believe the decision that's gone there. But Halifax have no time to argue the cause. He must form the scrum quickly and get back in the defensive pattern, because Castleford are going to be possibly the strongest side for the last 20 minutes, being the full-timers, and that is where they've made a lot of impact in the previous games. Henderson fires the ball out. Davis, that looked a little bit forward, but the tackle's made on halfway. Henderson, Brambani turns it back to Byron Smith, loses possession, and Henderson tries to retrieve it from Birchall, but Birchall clings on to it like it's welded to him there. Larder over halfway, 3 men in the tackle. Hadcroft from acting half up to the 40. Gibson taking the ball to the Castleford defence with about 22 minutes to go in the second half. Wisner bringing Sharif back in on the angle. Sharif gets to the 20 and is eventually wrestled to the ground by the hooker Henderson. Fisher to Larder, and Larder was almost away from the tackler. Halifax bring it back to the right hand side, and Wisner will come away with a 1 point. Well, not taking any chances, Halifax wanting to respect the possession. And at a 14 point gap, everyone counts. And I think, although the flags don't seem to indicate it, the wind is behind the backs of Halifax in this second half, and it seems, if anything, to be getting a little bit stronger. Anthony Farrell out on the touchline barking instructions. Long, deep kick from Castleford. Corcoran underneath it behind his own try line. We'll have to bring the ball back, but we'll only make 10 because it's an enthusiastic chase from the Tigers after the kick-off. Haley from acting half gives it inside to Bunyan. Bunyan managed to step the first man, but Watine in very quickly. Morley. Haley inside to Bloom. Halifax being caught quickly by the Castleford defence in an attempt to get the ball away from their own line. Wisner will go for a 40-20. Well, it's stopped in field, and Shenton will take his time till the ball slows down. There's plenty of chasers there for Halifax, and the tackle made 15 metres out from the Castleford post, and Castleford will have to run in ones because there's no defenders back. Well, Castleford supporters are not happy, but this time they've been pinned by the referee. Price will go for the quick play, and Halifax guilty of turning the backs, and they'll give away a second penalty, which Davis will go for the quick one again. A run at Sharif, who was in an offside position, so 2 quick penalties to Castleford, and the advantage suddenly swings their way in possession terms. Henderson from acting half. Henderson going for the gap. Halifax closing it up. Tigers have made a lot of yards down that far side. Halifax trying to cling on as Epworth steps one way, then the other, and he's caught 8 metres away. Brambani, long pass out to Davis. Halifax light on this side. Damien Reed's taken down. It's a good job. Halifax were struggling defence. Last tackle, Davis to Watini. Watini kicks it through and it comes off a Halifax man, but it's still the last tackle. Long kick out wide, and Adcroft will have man and ball straight away, surely. Ball goes into touch. Blackwood fancied the play on and the 70-metre try, but the referee will bring it back for the turnover. And I think Henderson, the Tigers captain, had something to say to the referee there. But the hand was in the air and it was clear. Last tackle. Birchill trying to drive the ball away, and this is where Castleford will be looking for that extra fitness to keep Halifax in their own quarter of the field as Gibson falls to the tackle. And Fisher fancies a duck from halfway. 7 or 8 metres, everyone important away from that Halifax line. Wisner to Birchill. And Birchill having the steam knocked out of him a bit there with that tackle from Crouch. Wisner out wide to Blackwood. Blackwood shrugs away the first tackle of Epworth. Last one. Wisner goes down that short side, tries to keep the ball away from Shenton, who's forced to go back behind his own line to collect possession. Halifax will be hunting the mistake. The tackle's made on the 10-metre line. Castleford players still coming back. Halifax already in the defensive line. Appeals for the high tackle. And Sharif having a wrestling match there and finally winning it when Bunyan gets there with a bit of assistance to put down Platt, the fullback. Watini over the 20-metre line. Tigers switching play. Morley and Bloom making the tackle. And Bloom almost taking too long there to get to his feet as Byron Smith charges into the tackle of Morley. And Sharif 5 metres from halfway, last tackle. Back to Davis for the kick. Davis will just make a little one over the top. And Bloom will give away the penalty. Well, that's just evened up the penalty count. And Jamie Bloom gave away a penalty in the first half. As a result, Castleford scored a try. Will that be the same? It was a last tackle, he'd no need to do it. It was up to Davis to get the ball back as Watini's brought down 3 metres away. Another try and a goal here would bring Castleford right back into this game again. Byron Smith gets the ball away to Henderson. Henderson gets it away. Castleford have numbers on that far side stacking up. Platt goes for the inside ball and drops the shoulder and he's tackled 10 metres out. Halifax still with work to do. Castleford 8 metres away now. And Castleford bringing men out on this far side. And there's a try on here, is there, with Ailey, if he can get away. Scrambling defence by Castleford. And it had to be. Because if Ailey had picked up a clean pair of heels, I'd have backed him against Price on an 80-metre run. Adcroft from acting half, trying to help out the forwards. Bunyan with the handoff, gets it to Haley. Haley steps inside, clattered by Watini and forced to knock on. Well, Bunyan trying to release his wing partner James Haley. Ends up in an error. Another one of mounted errors from Halifax. Epworth clattered on halfway and driven back. That's good tackling from Halifax. They need some more of that. Into the critical last 15 minutes now for Halifax. Birchill's gone down again. Henderson is clattered to the ground 5 metres inside the Halifax half. Platt escaping the tacklers. Ball goes to ground. Touch judge gives the knock on. Castleford supporters don't agree. They're not happy with the decision. And it looks like there may be a quick return for Jason Bolts. Oh, it's Ryan McDonald that actually put him back on, because Birchill's gone down again. Well, he's played through the pain barrier a couple of times this season as Chris Birchill. It looks like this is one of those occasions that he won't be able to carry on. He's received attention once already and tried to run the injury off. But I don't think he's going to be as fortunate this time, as he struggles with assistance to get to his feet. But a huge round of applause for Chris Birchill. Whose influence for Halifax this season has been made evident this week with his inclusion in the Northern League 1 Dream Team of the Month, whatever they call it now. Halifax will bring back on Ryan McDonald, while Ben Black is off to the dressing room on crutches. Halifax can ill afford to lose the services of the scrum half for this one game, let alone the upcoming games, big games in the National League 1. Bloom up to halfway, brings 3 to him, and there's a lot of shuffling and scuffling going on there. Perhaps Castleford trying to win the penalty as McDonald evades Watini's charge, but not the tackle of Byron Smith. Corcoran shows almost a clean pair of heels to Stephen Crouch. Henderson goes in and wins the knock on as Corcoran loses possession and claims the penalty. So Castleford attack again. Wayne Price coming in off the wing. It's quickly met by Gibson. Halifax have, well, Ailey's dropped to full back. But Halifax with Wisner and Blackwood still trying to keep the Tigers in their own half of the field. They'll get over the halfway white line this time into Sharif, McDonald and Larder. Henderson in quickly. I think it's Tommy Hockey again. He'll be one of the walking wounded at the end of this game. Will Hockey he's certainly put his body on the line for the Tigers. Kick over there, bouncing awkwardly. Adcroft not taking any chances. Well, I thought it was Tommy Hockey. It's Aaron Smith who's limping this time. Gibson once again trying to take Halifax out of the 20, trying to do some of the work of the forwards. Fisher to Larder on that far side, and Larder makes a good 10 metres for Halifax. Wisner to McDonald. Back to Wisner. Wisner, well, persisting down that side where Shenton is looking for the error. Certainly he's not going for the 40-20 because the ball's staying a long way infield. Quick play from Castleford as they try to move it out wide. Davies gets it away to Price. Price has to come inside, but only into the arms of Corcoran and Bunyan. Davies, quick play from acting half to Damien Reid, who's stopped by Sharif 5 metres from halfway. Henderson, caught by Sharif, manages to unload. Davies fires one out to that far side, and Castleford look to have numbers. Epworth trying to break through, but the Halifax defence somehow scrambling back to make the tackle. Hardcroft close to giving a penalty away there. Byron Smith charging the ball forward. 22 metres away. Last tackle for Castleford. Brambani will go to the air. This one to test Haley. Price will come up with it, but Price will knock on near the Halifax line. That is a let-off. the knock-on has got to go against Castleford, surely. It was Price that came down with the ball. Referee looking to touch judge for confirmation on the last tackle, so it'll be a turnover, will it? Signal the knock-on, but it is going to be the turnover. So that was probably the closest that Castleford have been in this second half, as Morley brings the ball up from acting half. And it was almost there for Wayne Price, and it would have been had he kept hold of it. Morley has a look out of the corner of the eye at the touch judge as Sharif's dragged around like a rag doll, and it's certainly getting to this Castleford side is this scoreline and this performance by Halifax. It's Halifax 23, Castleford Tigers 8. Fisher to Bloom. Jason Bolt's back on for Jody Sharif as Larder goes down the middle. And the ball goes late, the ball goes loose. And MacDonald and Bloom quick to snaffle out any danger of a counter-attack. Henderson gets the ball away. Good tackle from Fisher on the 40. MacDonald adding his weight to the tackle on Aaron Smith. Brambani fires the ball out to Epworth, who can provide a lot of danger. Can Johnny Epworth? He made his name as a standoff last season in Super League for Castleford when they needed one. Brambani, Castleford look for more space. Davies fires the ball out, ball comes loose. Still going forward, Damien Reid steps two men into each other. Referees call the knock on. Well, there was another chance there for Castleford. But Halifax putting the pressure on again.
Callaghan Challenge Cup official attendance is 3,925. 3,925 this afternoon's official attendance. And this afternoon's Callaghan Challenge Cup man of the match, selected by members of the media, goes to Halifax number 9, Ben Fisher.
Well, the biggest crowd at the Shea for some time, almost 4,000 have witnessed it. An enthralling encounter with Castleford, the red-hot favourites, coming here, and for most of the game have been outplayed by Halifax. And that man who's just passed the ball, Ben Fisher, just named as the man of the match, as MacDonald tries to punish that Castleford defence, as will Chris Morley on his return. And Brad Atwood will get the last 5 minutes after replacing Jamie Bloom, who did a very promising last season. And that's another drop goal, is it? No, says the referee, as the Castleford supporters start to leave the Shea in disbelief at what's happened to their team this afternoon. They've swept all before them so far in the Northern Rail Cup and in the league match last week, and will have come here with high hopes. Halifax on the back of a disappointing defeat against Hull Kingston Rovers last week. But Halifax have picked themselves up. Great tackle from Bunyan, and that is one thing that I think's made a difference this afternoon from Halifax. The likes of Bunyan and Adcroft and Blackwood returning with Halifax, more penetration in the back line and looking more like a back line. No disrespect to Spink and Bloom, who played at centres last week, but Halifax have had the firepower going forward in those positions more so than they did last week, as Brambani fires it out wide. Adcroft chases Epworth all the way and makes a tackle on the last one, and that indicative of the spirit of this Halifax side this afternoon. Blackwood's broken. Oh, it's just been caught again. He's so strong, is Anthony Blackwood, and that an indication of the difference a strong back line makes, with a little bit more pace than Andy Spink and Jamie Bloom. Corcoran shows the ball, and has certainly played well this afternoon as Corcoran in the standoff position. Not his normal position. stepped up though, and here goes Fisher looking to cap that man of the match performance with another try. Brad Atwood struggling to get the ball as it disappeared between his legs. Last tackle, and I think that may have been another attempt at a 1 point had it come out cleanly. Anthony Farrell said during the week, if his players do as they're told, then they'll win, and they've done it this afternoon. They've respected the possession. They made a few errors, but not as many as they did last week. But they've really taken this game to Castleford after holding up for the first 10 minutes against ferocious attacking. They've hit back and they really have bossed this second half, and the for 30 minutes of the first half they've been the top team. They've deserved to win. They've snuffed out everything Castleford have thrown at them, keeping them scoreless so far in the second half. And they've obviously listened to what the coach said. David Woods will be somewhat dismayed. His full-time squad have been not taken to the cleaners but outplayed by a workman-like Halifax side. Well, the question about Halifax's fitness over the last 20 minutes has certainly been answered, as they've stepped up and matched Castleford all the way. Atwood, high shot, waved away round the shoulder, says the referee. Wisner running across the face of the defence. He split them this time. Has he got the support? Well, he had the support, but the pass wasn't the best. Pat Wisner opening up a defence, a Castleford defence that actually looks a little bit weary, being put to the test all the way by Halifax in this fourth round Power Jane Challenge Cup tie. Davis fires the pass out to Damien Reid. Reid steps round two, turns it inside to Price, and Halifax bring Price down on the 40. Time surely almost up on the clock. There's no more than a couple of minutes remaining, and Halifax maintain that defensive concentration. Corcoran goes in for the tackle, ball goes away, Haley follows Price, and Morley makes the tackle. Henderson to Tommy Ockey. Ockey gets the ball away, but once again there are numbers there for Halifax. Adcroft went for the intercept, but that'll be a knock on with Castleford possession. And David Larder down on his knees, struggling somewhat. I think it's certainly taking him out of the players as this game, physically and mentally, but Halifax have stood the test. Really will have put a spanner in the works for David Woods and his Castleford side. So a defeat of by Hull Kingston Rovers washed from the memory this week, as Bunyan misses the tackle. Platt goes for the run, brings Price inside. Price still has work to do. Morley drew the arm back then. Watine will look to unload, and he does, to Damien Reid, and then fancies his chances with MacDonald. Reid gets the ball away despite the attentions of the defenders. Epworth, ball knocked down by Hardisty. I'm not sure whether he knew about it or not. Took judge on the other side, waves play on. Late consolation for Castleford, is it for Shenton? Has he got the ball down? Yes, says the referee. Well, it won't be the full quarter of Castleford supporters that will celebrate that try, because a lot of them have already left the ground and will be on the way back down the M62, shocked at the way in which the team has been matched all and bettered by Halifax. 23-12 now. Sir Michael Shenton gets his second try. Davis gets his third conversion, and there's time over on the clock, but the timekeeper in place. Well, will there be time even to set the kick-off? Halifax, well, if you can call it, it's a famous victory because they weren't expected to get anywhere near Castleford, and let alone with the loss of the likes of Dean Lawford, one of the main playmakers, Ricky Sharif, the top try scorer. But the players have come back and stepped up. Morley, MacDonald and Wayne Corcoran, who have been out for fairly long periods, have come back and they've knocked Castleford and David Woods for 6, and the supporters stand in silence and are 1 or 2 applauding. Well, if the applause is for Halifax, then that's fair enough, because on the day they've been the better side. Halifax held the line for 10 minutes in that first half and then hit back, and it's been one-way traffic really all the way. Late consolation from Shenton in the second half. Halifax perhaps tired by then, but Castleford hit early with 2 early tries from Bunning and Black in the second half before Black limped off. Neither Bloom nor Corcoran could convert, but Wisner's drop goal made that 15-point gap crucial, and Castleford had no answer to Halifax's resilient defence, and at the end Halifax going to the next round of the Power Gen Challenge Cup, drawn this afternoon. Is at the Shakes, Halifax 23, Castleford Tigers 14.